Could maybe another red candle month for the price of Bitcoin? Here's a quick analysis of what we might be expecting for the Bitcoin price action during the month of May. Scenario trading is just really thinking about what are the scenarios that might affect the price action of Bitcoin other than just the pattern that you're trading, right? And the idea of scenario trading was invented by trader Tom Hougaard, who's actually a traditional trader. He doesn't trade crypto, but the concept applies everywhere, right? We actually run a mastermind of people who help us dive into the research. I see one of my mastermind buddies, Peter Medalik, actually is one of the people who left a comment. So hi, Peter, thanks for watching. We have really great conversations on those mastermind calls. Like Peter recently has been diving into detailed research around CME gaps and what does that do, you know, especially if they're in correlation with an all-time high, or what does that do to the price action on a Monday or a Tuesday if they happen on the weekend. So I'm really looking forward to having a little more clarity around that. We're just sort of massaging through the data right now so we can come up with some scenarios. But if you're interested in joining our mastermind to help us really dive into the charts and inquire about different questions just by going back and looking historically at how those questions tend to perform, feel free to reach out. We meet every 2 weeks. And we each take questions away that we go look at, and then we come back to the mastermind to discuss to see if there's enough there. And we'll be producing videos for you guys that you can see here on the channel. So with that, do you want me to dive into the monthly, Nicola? Yeah. Okay. So I always like to have the contrary view presented, not necessarily because it's the most probable, but because I do think it's important to always zoom out and think about what are the maximum levels that we might be going to in any given situation, because some trades are like no-brainers. You just know it's not going anywhere but the direction it's going. You can have high confidence in that. That's when traders go all in, as they say. Most traders have their own definition of all in. For some traders, that's 25% of their portfolio in one trade. But you've got to come up with your own definition for that. But I think it's really important to look historically at what's going on with Bitcoin. This is just a chart of Bitcoin since its inception. This is one of my favorite charts. If you type in index, this is an average price action over a number of exchanges since Bitcoin was first issued in 2010. So this is Bitcoin at 5 cents. And this is just the monthly candles, right? And it's really important to remember that Bitcoin is a really young asset. Like, we only have 10 years of data on Bitcoin. So if we consider from when Bitcoin first came out to when it first peaked at around, I think the peak was up here at around $300. It was this big wick that we had in the price action. That was really the first bull run, right? And then the second bull run was, you know, this area here that we had in 2013. And that was the only time we saw the pi cycle indicator top twice, right? And each of these bull runs has had a retracement in the middle. And in fact that we've had a pretty significant retracement in the middle has given some stability to the bull run so that it could go higher, right? And usually that retracement, if you look back in the charts, it's usually lasting about 2 months, like one red candle, but it keeps going down in the subsequent month. Like, so if you look at the price action on this first one, there's a nice trend line down. So this lasted about 2.5 months. This is about 10-week retracement. This is the closest to what we have going on right now because the pi cycle indicator just topped out, right? So this retracement in 2013 actually lasted almost 4 months. It was about 3.5 months long, right? Most other bull run retracements where we haven't seen the pi cycle indicator top out in the middle, like, so the last one in 2017, we actually had a couple of red candles in the middle, right? And most of those retracements lasted about 2 months, like green candle, one red candle, green candle, one red candle, right? But when you look on a weekly time frame, how long these lasted, right? So it's just important to note that the current retracement that we're in right now, let me zoom up to it. We're still in a monthly red candle right now. So we've got April as a monthly red candle. So I'm just trying to make this bigger so you can see it. We've got April as a monthly red candle. May has to get above 58,900 in order to not be a red candle, which we might do in the next day or two, depending on whether this breakout with Bitcoin continues or not, right? But it could come back down is the point. Right now, this retracement we're just around 7-8 weeks for this retracement that's going on. If we look at when the pi cycle indicator topped out in 2013, that retracement was closer to 4 months, right? The other thing that I think bears noting is Jeroen van Lange did a lot of scenario research around Mercury retrogrades, right? We had an interview with him talking about this. Mercury retrograde tends to increase whatever price action is going on at the dominant level. So if you're in a dominant bull cycle on the monthly during the Mercury retrograde, you usually get a more significant run up. If you're in the bull cycle, you get a more significant run down. The only exception to that we see in the charts was in 2013 when the pi cycle indicator topped out. And in that case, this span that represents the Mercury retrograde, actually midway of the Mercury retrograde was where that retracement turned around. And we're still a few weeks away from the Mercury retrograde starting. The Mercury retrograde right now goes from end of May to early June, right? In fact, I should have looked at the dates for that. It's the 29th of May. Thank you. So we're still 2 weeks away from Mercury retrograde. So there's some possibility that instead of the parabolic run coming any day, as a lot of people are talking about, and I do think it's imminent, so please don't hear that I don't think it's imminent, but we could be just forming a bigger pattern on the daily or the weekly, and the pattern isn't actually going to break out for a couple more weeks. So we could see another few weeks of bull run up, bear run retracement, bull run up, bear run retracement. We could be forming a large triangle or some other pattern, right? And the reality is nobody has a crystal ball. I don't know the answer to that. But the reason I'm pointing it out is you trade differently when you think the parabolic run is happening any minute, right? Because a lot of traders keep their trades open. They're not taking profit at the target. If we're not into the parabolic run yet, and you're not taking profit, you're actually leaving a lot of money on the table because your trades are turning around and coming back down, right? And in fact, I talked to a few traders recently, their trades have turned around and actually, stopped out at either the entry point or just below the entry point, and they never took profit when they could because they're trying to get into these bigger trades where they leave their trades open because they're looking to get ready for this parabolic run. So just keep this in mind, right? I do think it's probable that it's happening soon, but it might be a week or two before it starts.
Yeah, sorry about that, Teresa. I was going to just back on what you were saying before. Da Vinci J50 says never turn a winning trade into a losing trade.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, awesome.
Yeah.
The other thing about Mercury retrograde is it's 29th of April, I think it is. For those of you who are not familiar with how astrology can often affect price action and trading and what have you, there's well documented information out there. We did do an interview with Jeroen van Lange, which you will find on our channel on Mercury retrograde and his findings. But the thing with Mercury retrograde is often you get a little bit of a retracement a day or two before it happens. And then if we're in a bull run, it could just take off the price. So if we're in a bear cycle, then we go further down. This Mercury retrograde is going to be very interesting because several days before it, Saturn's in retrograde, and Saturn is a planet of finance and business and restriction. So we could see some retracement. Like I'm going to get a chart ready for you for what happened last year every time Saturn went into retrograde, conjuncting some other planets and what have you, because consistently when it did that, there was a significant retracement, and price action was really held back from springing forward. But once we do spring forward, we go up and up and up and away. So we'll get some data on that. Well, maybe, Teresa, do you think we should do a video on that specifically, or maybe just?
I think so. I think we should do a specific video on that because, when you look at how much astrology does affect trading, like there's just so much evidence in almost every asset out there that astrology does affect trading, although it affects different assets differently. There's some decent probability that what we could see is we're actually in a multi-day pattern here, that Saturn could be holding us back. The Saturn retrograde could be holding us back from the breakout. And as soon as that's done and we're into the Mercury retrograde, that will be the point we go parabolic, right? So just keep that in mind, because that so much affects your mindset and how you're trading. And sometimes waiting for the parabolic, it's like, it can be a recipe for losing a lot of money or leaving a lot of profit on the table, because trading inside of a really big pattern is one of the most profitable things we can do as traders.
Thanks for joining us here on Conscious Crypto Traders. Don't forget to give us a blue thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, click the notification bell, and select all. We do accept donations on Conscious Crypto Traders, which we put into infrastructure development for our community here in Costa Rica. We pave roads and do other infrastructure projects. We also run a bi-monthly mastermind call for people who are interested in helping us dive into research on different scenarios that affect the price action on Bitcoin. If you're interested in joining this mastermind, please reach out. We'd love to see you join the group. And until next time, trade consciously.